pretty great webinar last night.
Yeah, I was very excited for the interaction and the quality of the people and the great questions, and seemed like we were able to serve people in a positive way.
Yeah, it was really good. Lots of folks showed up. Lots of folks took the platform assessment and let us know where they're at and where their heads at. So it was a really good process overall. So for those of you who are watching our live stream today and you attended the webinar, thanks for being there, because there were a lot of familiar faces and folks that we see on a lot of these live streams. So that was really great. And we are going to be doing more webinars in the not distant future in and around these types of topics. So as with all of our live streams, if you have specific questions or challenges that you're facing in your life or your business that you'd like addressed, please ask them in the questions, and we'll either do a whole video on it or we'll address that directly here today during the live stream as well. But I was actually on the phone this morning with someone.
Hey, before you get into that, can I just make it, since you mentioned the announcement, we had a glitch yesterday. So for those people that wanted to book a blueprinting private consult call, it may have said that there was no spaces available, and we fixed that, at least for the time being. I've been chatting with people, so they may get booked up next week, but they're, if you go right now and if you're interested, I would suggest booking one, because the as of right now, Monday and Tuesday have some openings.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, that was our scheduling software. What the parameters weren't set up quite right. And so basically all of we didn't have enough calendar bookings available for the number of people that wanted them or the number of calls we wanted to take. There was about half the number. And so
note to self, there's about 3 areas that you need to update settings.
That's right. Learning curve.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm not going to mention any names because I like to respect people's privacy, of course. But I was on the phone with someone who was on our training last night, someone who's been an entrepreneur for a long time and a student of marketing for a long time, has tried several different businesses over the years. Clearly a very intelligent person, had a very successful long-term career prior to becoming an entrepreneur. And there's a challenge. And this is a challenge that a lot of people are facing. And I say a lot of people because I've been dealing with people who are trying to figure out how to make more money, try to start their business, try to grow their business, try to improve their money mindset, trying to attract more abundance into their lives, trying to think more like an entrepreneur, trying to figure out the leverage game, all these things for 17 years. And a very common problem.
Plus, you've been one for longer than 17 years.
Exactly. So I've got personal experience.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, dealing with this stuff is not easy, even now.
That's right.
Even as an experienced, successful entrepreneur, it's still difficult at times.
Well, everyone has problems. Like everybody, we've all got issues. And sometimes after you solve the issue that you think is the thing that's really screwing your life up, you just find that there's another issue down below that you have to address next. And often that is really never ending, right? So it's important to realize no matter
unless you address the upstream issue.
Well, maybe, I don't know. It seems to me that no matter what areas of life you spend time improving on, strengthening, enhancing, by nature, there are always areas of life that one might be neglecting. I don't know. Do you disagree?
Agree to disagree. I think that you do one thing is how you show up in all areas of life. And if you truly make a breakthrough and transform, not just temporarily, but a true transformation change in one area, it affects all the other areas, because the same problem or the same thing that you're thinking is the problem, you're coming up against it not just in one area of your life, but all the areas of your life.
Totally. I agree. Well, whether you have one problem, multiple problems, one area or all areas, shiny object syndrome is something that affects a lot of people. If you're smart enough to be able to spot opportunities, then you're smart enough to be able to spot too many of them. Sorry. That's the curse of
And when you realize that you got caught up in it, to take a beat and go, okay, wait a minute, I did it again. Yep. Let's not beat ourselves up. Let's come up with a process by which I can filter out what I shouldn't be focused on, and promise myself to see something through.
That's right.
And make that declaration or make that commitment to yourself to actually see things through. And I mean, on a side note, I think it's interesting that we find it easy to break commitments to ourselves. We find it harder to break commitments to other people. And so the important things in our life slip, right? But so, I mean, one way that you can do it is you can trick yourself into like making a commitment involving other people in it, and commit to them and have them commit to you on something external that you then have to, honor your word about, that is truly important to you moving forward. And that's one possible way to kind of, trick yourself into staying focused.
I want to talk with you more about that at some point, probably not today, or at least not on the early side of our call. This is something that I'm encountering a lot in talking with my therapist recently, actually. The whole idea of essentially the way you treat yourself is the way you treat everyone else, right? And you can adjust the way you outwardly treat everyone else, whether it's your friends, family members, coworkers, colleagues, children, parents, right? You can, because when you interact with someone in the outside world and they don't like it and they're like, don't do that, well, you can adjust what you do, right? Or you can do something differently. But it's a different game when you're dealing with how you're treating yourself internally, and where you are and aren't honoring your commitments to yourself, and how you do and don't do that. And it's very interesting. It's something I hadn't actually spent much time in my life really thinking about, is my relationship with myself. And when people say, oh, I need accountability, which I do say, well, what if you didn't? What if you were simply able to always be accountable to yourself? Well, all of a sudden that desperate need for outside accountability just goes away. And when we're chasing thing after thing after thing, often we're looking for outside validation that we're going the right way, that we're on the right path. And when people fall into shiny object syndrome and they're like, well, should I do this business or this business or this business or this business or this business? So I was talking to this guy, 5 different potential businesses. Again, intelligent, articulate, experienced, has had success, has made great money in corporate for many years as a very intelligent, successful individual. But chasing 5 opportunities at the same time and not making any money. Okay?
Yeah.
And so I kept asking him, I mean, he may be on this live stream right now. I kept asking him, hey, what's actually important to you here? What are you actually trying to build? What are you actually trying to create? And he inevitably would just go into the various opportunities and the problems that they have. And I'm like, those are just the 5 opportunities that you happen to be seeing right now. That's not what you want to create. That's not what you want to do. That's not what actually means anything to you. And by the time the conversation was over, it finally became clear that the focus was his spiritual journey and his spiritual path. And he had been working within that his entire life. And that was something he was committed to long term, everything else aside. Whereas all of the little business projects that he was going after were just for short-term cash to theoretically raise money, or raise enough money so he could then go after the important thing that he really wants to go after. And so do a check-in, okay? Realize that the number of opportunities that are in front of you right now, the MLM that you could join, the marketing program that you could sign up for, the mentor that you could invest in, the franchise that you could buy, the whatever, they're a drop in the bucket in the sea of opportunities. Okay, there are so many more that you'll never have the chance to chase because there are just too many, okay, in your lifetime. So rather than chasing opportunities that you happen to stumble across that may or may not really serve you, my experience is deep down, it's the emotional connection that's going to make the difference. So when I brought this up, this guy I was talking to, he mentioned something that was a little challenging And he said, well, what if I told you I wanted to be a, what was the word that he used? He didn't use antique, artisan pencil sharpener. I wanted to be an artisan pencil sharpener. It's what I care about more than anything in the world. I sharpen artisanal pencils.
Okay.
And I didn't actually get a chance to respond to him because the conversation went into a different direction. But in my mind, I said, there's no good reason you can't build a wildly successful business as an artisanal pencil sharpener. Like,
Well,
there's...
I mean, first of all, the question on two levels. One is it's like he's just playing devil's advocate. He wants to prove why this isn't right.
Right.
And the other side of it is like, do you want to make money as an artisanal pencil sharpener? Is that a real thing? Is that a real business that you can truly, that you want to, that you just are passionate about, but also want to turn it into a real business that,
And so that's the thing is if you're dedicated to the art and craft of being an artisanal pencil sharpener, or, I mean, the example that's been used for years, of course, is the underwater basket weaver, right? If that's your thing,
one of my
and
favorites.
you're dedicated to it, and that's all you've got, all right? But that's what you've got. What I would say is, cool. I hope you're ready to sell some pencils, right? I would be getting on YouTube and Facebook Live with amazing ASMR microphones, and I'd have the pencil sharpener. I'd take the artisanal pencil and I'd bring it up close to the screen and I'd slowly turn it, and you'd hear the in your ears in stereo. And then I'd sell the pencils, and I'd have the Pencil of the Month Club, and I would have great people who are doing Zoom classes on how to draw, right? And we would teach calligraphy perhaps, and we would sell paper. I mean, there's no limit to the amount of crap that you could sell that's related to artisanal pencils, right?
True.
And so, with that said, I'm sure there are examples that could be given where the skill is just not monetizable at all, right? There are exceptions to every rule, without a doubt.
Except though that's not what we're talking about.
No, it's
right?
not.
I mean, we're talking about how do you earn a living and be happy, fulfilled, and spiritually connected simultaneous to that.
Exactly.
And that might mean choosing something else that's an additional, and then while you're doing what you're, the other thing, it doesn't preclude being able to do both. However, it's been my experience that you need to focus in on one personal thing. And I mean, just to kind of get to one particular point that I think you're talking to here is, and I'm going to reverse my camera here for a second so I can show this clearly. You'll have to tell me that, can you see the writing properly?
Here, let me spotlight you. Boom. Now you got full screen.
All right, let me.
Yes, we can see the writing properly.
Okay, cool. So what we've got here is a 3-step process, right? To legitimize, personalize, and capitalize on the whatever you're focused in on, right? And so go ahead and you can put us back together again. So what I think people miss is that they focus in on the legitimized version, which is like what's right and what makes sense. They forget about the aspects of it. That's what happens is that if you make it survive past and you legitimize it and you make sure that it's actually a real opportunity, it's a real business, that put your heart and soul into it, it will actually pay off for you, and it's something real, right? So you take the billion of ideas and opportunities and everything that's being thrown at you on a daily basis, and you put it, you survive that, you put the billion through the first sort, and now you wind up with like 5 million valid, great things that are like, wow. And it's still too many freaking things to focus in on. Yeah.
Right.
So then you got to get in touch with you. You got to personalize it to you. Right. And that's the part that I think a lot of people miss, because they start getting sucked into, well, this one's really great and I could be really good at it, or like, I know it's legit and it's awesome. And, which I'm guilty of a lot, where I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me back up and let me filter it through my stupid human trick.
Right.
Like, what is it that I'm really gifted at? What it is that I'm really called to do? And then does it match up with that?
I remember when Matt Basak bought a fast food fried chicken franchise. You know, it's the same idea. It's just like, it's a great email marketer, crushed it in a bunch of industries over and over and over again, was making money hand over fist. And he's like, I love fried chicken. I'm going to buy myself a fried chicken fast food franchise. And it totally didn't work at all. At all. I mean, I'm glad he did it. And I'm sure he learned a ton of stuff. Yeah. I'm not saying you should never branch out, but sometimes those opportunities will get you, and they can really cost you a lot of time, effort, energy, and money, and pull you off in a direction for years that is off course.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. You know, it's like the personalize it step, though, is something that people rarely take into consideration, right? Yeah. And there's some key things, like, you know, based on your current situation and what you're currently looking to achieve. And that changes, right? And there's different types of business models that you can pursue, right? There's cash flow generated type, you know, transactional business models that generate cash quickly. There's business in a box type business models that are, you know, like turnkey, like the franchise concept, that, you know, the fried chicken franchise, where and there's a certain set of things for that. You know, like a network marketing business can fall into the business in a box category.
Totally.
So can like private label rights type stuff, legitimate ones. I'm not talking about the crap ones, but like legitimate, but that's a business in a box. And they all have pros and cons.
That's right.
And then the final one is what I would term a true equity type business model, where you're building it from the scratch up, from the ground up, and it's yours, and you're building something that's going to have equity in it that you can then sell. And so it's not like any of these. I mean, I've used all three of these models at various points in my life and transitioned from one to the next, depending on what my personal desires are, what my personal needs are, and those types of things. But it all starts with what I'm looking to accomplish and what I will find personally fulfilling, right? Because I know that, and like you're this way, I'm this way, I believe that we're ultimately all this way. You can only force yourself to change into doing something that you don't really want to be doing for so long before the snapback occurs and you fall back to your default position. And so you can force it, but now it's like all sorts of willpower and motivation versus inspiration. And once the snapback happens, the motivation doesn't matter how much motivation you have, it's done, because motivation is from the outside in, where inspiration is from the inside out.
That's right. And so that when you think about the motivation, the inspiration piece, you're trying to latch on to a topic that you're already interested in, or a group of people or a community of people that you're part of and you love to serve. Okay. And as someone who may be becoming an entrepreneur for the first time, or became an entrepreneur specifically because they didn't want to have to kiss anybody else's ass and do what other people wanted them to do all the time, I'm sorry. The downside to this is you realize that you actually have to get better at serving other people as you become an entrepreneur, and to do so from a kind, genuine place, and not a place of being irritated about the fact that you have to serve people, right?
Right.
And so if there's a group of people, a community, a tribe of individuals that you not only already serve, but ideally already serve and are used to paying you money to serve them, that's a really good place to start, because you're already part of them. You already are going to read books about the topic. You're already going to watch movies about the topic. You're already going to have conversations with people about the topic, even if you're not in the business. Okay. And this is critically important. As you grow as a business person, as you grow as an entrepreneur, you'll find that you can find this type of mental stimulation, perhaps in a wide variety of business models, perhaps in a wide variety of niches. For example, if your thing is writing webinar scripts, if you're a copywriter and you love writing webinar scripts and that's your thing, and you go and you get involved in a whole bunch of different businesses and a whole bunch of different niches, and you write the best webinars in the business, and you take a percentage of it all. You might be writing webinars about growing potatoes. You might be writing webinars about solar panels. You might be writing webinars about how to make money online with something weird. You might be writing webinars about cryptocurrency. You might be writing webinars about acne cream. I don't know. But like, you love copywriting, you specialize in writing webinars, and you're able to then branch out into these different niches because it fuels the fire. It fuels the passion. And so what's that glue for you? Who are you serving? If you're building an email list, if you're building a group of people that you're going to be writing email to, that you're going to be creating videos for, that you're going to be creating products for, writing books for, selling those products and books to these people. If you're building a list of people who are interested in a certain topic, you're going to be doing interviews with other experts in the field. Maybe you're going to start a podcast. Maybe you're going to do split screen interviews like Joshua and I are doing, whatever is the case. But what is that area of interest or group of people that you're already obsessed with? Because that's what's going to get you up in the morning to work early. It's what's going to keep you up late at night instead of watching Netflix or playing video games or wasting your time doing whatever you waste your time on. It's going to keep you working for an extra hour or two in the evening to make this thing a reality, because the fire's already burning in your belly. It's already going.
Yep.
Anyway, it's a really important piece, and people do often just get so focused on which one of these businesses is the one thing that's most likely to make money, and it's the one that you're dedicated to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the one that you're, you know what? A lot of it is like, it's the question I asked you back in, I think it was 2012 or 2013. What mountain are you willing to die on if you don't hit the summit or not? You know what, like, it doesn't matter, because the act of trying to climb it is fulfilling enough that you would enjoy the journey of doing it. And that obviously the goal still is to summit it. It's still to get to the top, is to conquer it. But if you didn't, you wouldn't be down on yourself. And like, that's another filter that you can use to determine whether you're focused in the right direction or not. Because like, if you're not willing to die on that mountain, then maybe there's something else that you are willing. Now, that's not to say that you have to know what that is prior to starting. But you know what? If you don't know, but you're passionate about something, try it. And if it's the wrong thing and it's not something that a mountain that you'd be willing to die on, great. You just found out what not to do.
That's right.
And shift. That's right. But I highly recommend, and this is a problem in this day and age, is that particularly right now, the idea of multitasking, the idea of funnel hacking, not to talk bad about the funnel hackers of the world, but the idea of this hack for this and this hack for that, is that it leaves you thinking that, well, I should do 1,800 different business opportunities at the same time, because it's just a hack and I can do all of them. I can manage all of them at the same time. And in reality, maybe you can, once they're all up and running, if they're all synergistically and you understand it. But the startup, one. And I don't care who you are. I'll never forget this. It was after I became quote unquote successful online, and I went to my first internet market.
Oh, you froze. You're frozen. Frozen like an iceberg. Oh. Frozen like Han Solo and Carbonite.
That's weird.
You're good now.
Oh, okay.
You're thawed. You've thawed.
I thawed. So I went to this internet marketing conference, and I had made literally over $50 million online prior to that. Not myself personally, but for my clients and with partners and the models that I had built. And then I went to my first internet marketing conference, and I was listening to a lot of people speak, and some of it was really good. Alex Mendozian was one of them. He was awesome. And then there was this panel discussion, and John Reese was on the panel. And man, what he said, it just stuck with me to the point where, like, out of everybody there, I went up to him afterwards. I said, we got to hang out because we think alike. And that's very much unlike me, by the way.
Right,
but what he said was, the only thing that matters is that first opt-in, then the first person to hit your site, the first person to opt in, the first person to respond to your emails, the first person to buy. That's where it all starts. And until you get that done, and he was talking in context to something very similar to what we're talking about now, which is, scattered and doing too many things at once. Then you can worry about improving it. Then you can worry about branching out. And I thought, man, that's just, advice doesn't get any better than that, frankly.
I agree wholeheartedly. And again, I struggle with this all the time because I have a million ideas every day. And
I do too.
Joshua, you hear about like 1/10 of them at most, and so it's like,
well, thank you for sparing me the other 90%.
Oh, don't worry. I've gotten good at throwing them out. But the point is that it's like, if you try to start 5 businesses at the same time, you're going to make the same mistakes 5 times because you can't even see the stuff that you're doing wrong. You're blind to it. You don't have the experience. Yeah. And so the speed at which you're able to make mistakes is exponentially slower. Okay, because you're moving 5 times as slow, and there's no compound leverage. So if you're focused on one business, you make mistake after mistake after mistake, but you grow and learn very quickly up the curve. Yeah. Versus just like this slow, steady, maybe growth if you ever break through on any of them. So So how do you choose the one? Point. And there are multiple factors here, right? But here's an interesting thing. We are getting like no chat conversation today.
Yeah, I looked at all the. We don't have any viewership on the viewers that we've got are us checking in on that.
Well, that's okay. Maybe we'll get a lot of replays and maybe no one will watch this video. But like I wrote
valuable.
I wrote, which business or opportunity should I choose? That was the opening line. And maybe Facebook is starting to crank down on essentially spam posts, right?
Could be.
Got more options, ideas, or possibilities than you can handle. Maybe you're stuck chasing too many rabbits. Today, we'll share with you exactly how to cut through the brain fog and get moving in the right direction. I think maybe the title of our video today is getting squelched.
I think you might be very right. What we could do is, the same concept is how to handle and overcome the bright, shiny object syndrome.
Yeah. Let's start playing around with avoiding the words business, opportunity, and money in our posts.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And see what happens, because I think that I bet you anything that Facebook is starting to.
I totally agree, and also I didn't even notice that was in there because that's against my religion anyway. So if I had really paid attention to what you were titling it, I would have asked you to change it.
Yeah, well, I didn't verbalize it to you. I just typed it while we were getting ready. So the main thing here, guys, is that. Are there opportunities that you can take that would build your skills that might not really be the right business for you long term? Yes. And I just want to talk about that for a second too, because building skills is where it's at. You gotta. And some of the skills that you're going to build, it's going to be by chance. You're going to get lucky and you're going to happen to end up developing skills for jobs or opportunities or situations that you're going to encounter that are going to pull you in new directions, and that's great. But for example, I remember my first business was my salsa company. I went to work as a independent contractor for a company called skicoupons.com for a while. It looks like Joshua just hit the ejection button. I don't know where he went. I'm sure he'll be back soon. I drove around to all the ski areas and went all the ski mountains and the all the ski stores, and I tried to sell them online advertising for skicoupons.com. I took a job in college. I tried selling Cutco knives door to door. You know, I so some of the opportunities were things that I created where I was like, I'm going to start this business. I tried starting a lawn mowing business, and there was a drought. During college, I started a lawn mowing business, and I spent all of my extra money on 2 like top of the line lawnmowers. Drought that summer. 2 really nice lawnmowers, no freaking grass to mow. It was great. So, point is that sometimes there are really amazing sales, marketing, copywriting opportunities where you can develop your skills that will give you leverage in the future to make more money, meaning that will develop your sales and marketing abilities, where the amount of money that you're making isn't directly tied to the amount of hours that you're putting in, right? And these types of opportunities are great, but just realize they're not really starting your own business. They're working for somebody getting paid, perhaps getting paid well to work somebody else's business. But what you're getting out of it is some money and some skills. And just make sure that you're developing the skills that you want to be developing on purpose. So that maybe you can really build the business that you want at some point in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, just to give you an example, tying it back to what I was talking about earlier, like a cash flow type business, or a sales position could be a cash flow type opportunity. An affiliate-based marketing business or joint venture business where you're marketing other people's products to your influence, lists and such. That could be a cash flow generated model where you're learning how to do that. Another example could be like a business in a box model, could be some skills that you'll get by joining a reputable network marketing organization that you can learn about and apply to other things, and you can build over time and using somebody else's system. But there's pros and cons to all of it. And like you're saying there, it depends on where you're at, what your personal goals are, and what your current situation is. Because a lot of times people look at, and I'm guilty of this too, like I'm the systems guy, right? Like I'm like, everything's got to be scalable, systemized, and I don't build $1 million business model. I build $100 million business model, but then I only scale it to maximum of like 5 million to 10 million, right? But it's able to go to 100 million. So with that kind of frame of reference, what I tend to do is before it's even there, I want to build out this elaborate thing.
I've noticed.
It's unnecessary. Well, you do it too, by the way.
What's that?
You do it absolutely as much as I do.
I also do it. 100%.
Yeah. So it's easy to get caught up in that, where you're not looking at your current situation. You're looking at what you're, and it's a balance. You've got to balance between like what you are willing to do, what you're not willing to do, what you're looking to accomplish, along with, what's the current situation and what's the next step in your process? Like, do you need to make money this month? Do you need to, what is the overarching goal? And then, what's the balance between like shipping the scrappy version of what you're doing versus playing that perfectionistic game that I'm very guilty of, that like it's not quite there yet, and I gotta, and I know that when I built the biggest successes of my life, it's when I'm actually shipping it prior to me feeling right about shipping it.
Yeah, no, and yeah,
the balance is there, like making sure that it's not.
Ooh, look like your signal's getting a little choppy there for a second. Okay, you're back.
I heard what you were saying, and then I actually shut up to listen, but then I didn't hear you.
Yeah. I think our feeds got like overlapped in a weird way.
Yeah, there's something definitely goofy going on with Restream, because when I popped out just now, that was Restream just booted me out.
Oh, interesting. Huh. All right. Well, we're back. Very cool.
Anyway.
So in terms of choosing the situation, the business, the opportunity to the direction that's right for you, I would really encourage you to be, number one, always focused on skill development, because that's never going to end. You're always going to need to up your skills as a entrepreneur, as a marketer, as a salesperson, whatever is the case. And you can improve those skills with on-the-job training, working for other companies and with other companies, either as an employee, as a freelancer, or plugging into MLMs and that kind of stuff. Or you can pay to get the training that you want to bring that education into your business. And I'm a bigger fan of that these days. But just for example, right? Just for example, I know that.
Hi, Gene. Nice to see you.
How's it going, Gene? Public speaking. Now, I know that during COVID, public speaking is like not really a thing anymore. Okay, but it's going to come back. And this is a long-standing industry.
Well, and then there's also being good on webinars and Zoom meetings like you're talking about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's say you have nothing to sell and you don't know how to run a business, or you tried running a business and you don't like running a business, or you don't want the responsibility of it right now, or whatever. Maybe you suck as a manager, but you're good at selling stuff. Maybe you're charismatic and you're good at bonding with people, and you have a nice smile and people naturally like you. These are all good things for a salesperson. And maybe you know that you're done just doing one-on-one selling and you want some leverage, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to learn how to do public speaking. I'm going to learn how to speak and sell from stage. Well, you can buy home study courses online to learn how to do that. You can go to seminars to learn how to do that. And you can spend anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 to learn this skill.
Did you go to John Childers' speakers deal?
I did John Childers' thing, and a bunch of years later, I did Dave Van Hoos and Dustin Matthews' thing. But John was really helpful for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I really dig John's stuff.
And what ends up happening is, like, you can go and you can get a job where they'll train, if you have the basic skills and you're hungry, they'll train you to go and sell their products from stage. Yeah. And this is another way of getting that skill. And again, to shift it over to webinars, if you learn how to do webinars, I mean, you can create jobs for yourself by going into companies who clearly have email lists and products to sell, but they're not doing webinars. And you could say,
Yep.
yo, I love your product. I'm a customer and a client. I know how to do awesome webinars, and I would love to build a webinar for you and take a percentage, So these are skill-based opportunities where you can be making money to learn how to get better at developing the skills that you want to develop in order to grow your business in the future. So don't cut those out, but the skill set development is a big piece, and then the other part, again, comes back down to your heart and what's really important to you, the people that you want to serve, or the types of products and services that you really want to sell for whatever reason. You're addicted to them. You're all about them. If you go down that route and you're willing to be flexible and open and what your business model looks like and exactly what you're selling and where it's, if you're willing to be open and flexible to really serve your market, if you're committed to your market, you're going to be willing to be flexible. But if you're not committed to your market, then you're going to be a pain in the ass and you're going to wonder why your business doesn't work. Right? So.
Jean says she knows Dustin Matthews, and then she put this no in quotations, like, well, I know of him. You're funny, Gene.
That's nice. Very nice. And not at all embarrassing for Dustin, I'm sure. He's a funny guy. So very cool. Very cool. Yeah. That's
nice.
That's for the day. Jean launched her Patreon. Congratulations.
Woo-hoo!
That's great. That's great. All right. What do you say, Joshua? Is there anything else that we want to talk about today?
No, I think we did a good job on this subject. Too bad nobody heard it.
Too bad it was first time today. Maybe it was the business and opportunity talk. I think I tried that once before, and I think we had a similar squelching that occurred.
Could very well be.
We're gonna have to write more fairy tale posts. It's fine with me.
Well, I mean, like utility-based stuff that people are really struggling with. Like the bright shiny object syndrome. It's something that everybody can identify with and have ongoing battles with, and that's kind of like the extension rather than picking the right one, it's what's the pain that it costs us in our lives, and maybe if we talk about that.
That's right.
And how to overcome that, or some of the things that we've dealt with, that would be a better match for the algorithm.
Maybe we'll find out. All right, everybody. Well, have an awesome weekend. We should see you tomorrow for sure, and then we'll probably take a break on Sunday, and then we'll be back on Monday again. So, thank you everybody for being here, and let us know.
And for everybody that showed up last night, thank you. It was awesome. I really enjoyed the interaction. Super
cool. As did I. Thank you for a great training, everybody. Joshua, of course, you at the top of the list.
Right at you, man. You did the whole heavy lifting, so it was awesome to see it happen, unfold.
Cool. All right, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Over and out.
Later.